Hi guys, it's Tuesday and this is Mixed Media Fridays with Miranda and Tuesday. And I am bringing you a layout that I created with the Cheeky Studio July kit and some of my stamps in my stash and some embossing powder, and we're going to get messy. So here I used a little cheap embossing ink pad that, I mean, it was so bad, guys, that even the liquid that I added to it just turned it into glue. And it gets really, really sticky. So I have no fear that the embossing powder is going to stick. But my idea here is to take various stamps that look like blossoms, and I'm just going to stamp all over this and make a lovely background with some gelatos and some shimmers and some distress oxides. So I'm just going to heat set that embossing powder and go for the next set of stamps and do the same thing. And you can see as I go along, these blocks, they stick together. I mean, it's so strong. It's like glossy accents or something. I cannot get it off with a wipey or anything. So if you have a suggestion on a good embossing powder to use, please let me know in the description, not in the description, the comments below, because I used to have a good one. I can't remember what it was, and so I've just been on the cheap since, and it's not working. So it's time to invest in a decent embossing ink. So please let me know what you use that doesn't dry up and doesn't turn to glue. So I'm going to go ahead and add more embossing powder here to some of the smaller blossoms and heat set those. And then I think I'm going to show you my gelatos and some of my inks. And there we go. There's the set ink, or the set powder, and the gelatos I use, the distress oxide I use, and some of the shimmers that I use. So first I'm going to start with the gelatos. I really love how well gelatos blend together. You don't have to wait for a long drying time, and the more quality product you get, the easier it is to do that without making a mud. Well, without making mud. So I do try to dry in between, and so that's what you see me doing here. I'm just dabbing it up, and every once in a while with a gelato, you'll get just a little piece left, and it didn't like take to the water. So that's what I'm rubbing with my finger. I'm rubbing in the little piece that was left. So I love how this background turned out. I just kept working with it and working with it, and I think it turned out fantastic. So I hope you do too. But I would encourage you, don't be afraid of color. Like, I'm using a bunch of bright colors here that are just, you know, they're bright, but they have a softness about them, especially when you dab up. So when you're doing mixed media, if you want to tone it down, you can always cover it with gesso, or you can always add water to it. You can always blend it out a little bit more, and or you can just like take a napkin and dab it up, and it'll be very different than if you just left it in a pool and let it dry like that. That's going to give you a bolder look than if you just kind of dry as you go along and mop up as you go along and that sort of thing. So this is a really pretty color. It's a metallic color, and it's a lovely green. I know it doesn't translate very well as far as metallic on camera, but it is super shiny, and I just love it. It reminds me of a car that my brother had. It was like a 1967 Camaro SS. So pretty. So he wrecked that car. Anyway, so here you can see I just went direct with the Snow Man, and I added water to have it blend out because I didn't want it to be just sprays that showed up. And that's another way that you can go direct to the page and then add water after, as opposed to using the packaging technique. And here I'm going to use the packaging technique with the distress oxides. Now, with the distress oxides, they're super opaque. So if you want them to be softer, you're gonna have to mop them up, or you're gonna have to work with them with water, because they will be super opaque on you. So I really like them because you have so much versatility with how you use them. And I'm just continuing to add color here. This is another Vibes in the green. And then usually what I do is I will, okay, sorry, my daughter interrupted. So usually what I do is I'll fill in the little gaps, and then I'll go back with a bright, darker color, like I'm doing here with this green, or green, it's not green, it's blue. And I think that's blue jeans. And, oh, yeah, there you see my paper that I used to shadow light attacked me while I was trying to cut that big circle on the right. But I used these Spellbinders Nestabilities and just cut out all those lovely shapes from that background paper after it's set up and dried. And then I pulled my product from the Cheeky Studio Kit Club, and I'm trying to figure out what background I want to use. Now, this picture is hilarious, and it is a picture of Bab in Maui, and there is a great story behind this picture that I will tell you. But I'm just interviewing papers here, and I decide to go with this background that has the little blue crosshatch. And then I'm also going to back the photo with just a white and one of the, it's more of a greenish blue paper that's in the kit. So that's what I'm doing here. So a little background on this photo. It is from our Maui trip, which I know I've done a lot of photos on that trip, but it's just, I love the colors. And so the look on his face kind of tells it all. Oh, that paper's not bluish green, it's blue. But we were on the road to Hana, and so Bab wasn't very well traveled when we met, and he's still learning, but I'm an adventurer, so I go on a trip like that. I want to see things. I want to go on, excursions. I want to zip line and hike, and I want to eat where the locals eat and try local food and just really embrace the adventure and take in everything I can on a trip. And so he thought that travel was, going up to Michigan to visit his parents, or to, travel for work. So when we rented, now he's a car guy, so when they said, oh, you should rent a car and travel the road to Hana, he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna rent a Jeep and it's gonna be awesome. And so it was all about the drive for him, which, if you have not been to Maui, the road to Hana is this little teeny tiner's road that literally you cannot pass on many of the turns. You have to pull over and wait for the person in the car coming towards you to pass before you can pass, because there's not enough room on the road, much less parking. So he thought it was all about the drive. I thought it was all about the little things on the site, like on the road to Hana. Like, there are little sites that you can go to, and there's like a little tiki hut and a banana bread stop, and there's these little rabbit holes you can go down, and you can follow them down trails into places you can hike up the side of a mountain, or, like see a bamboo forest, for example. So that's what I was doing here. I told him we're gonna have to stop. I want to go down one of these rabbit holes, and it was starting to get dark. So they said, you have to be back by dark. And he was like, oh my gosh, it's getting dark. And he's looking at this rabbit hole, which first of all, we had trouble parking the Jeep because there was nowhere to park. Then he's like, oh my gosh, I can't go down that hole. So he was literally freaked out. Like, why are we going down this hole? And I had on flip-flops, so I took off my shoes, which freaks him out that I go barefoot everywhere. And he was like, I can't fit down that hole. And I was like, yes, you can. Come on, sweetheart. So I talk him a little bit down off the road. I mean, you can still see the road, or the light through the bushes there if you look to his right. But so what happened was we saw there was a gorge in front of us, which you had to walk over like this 2x4 that had been shortened. And I mean, the gorge was only maybe, I don't know, 3 foot wide. And he was like, I am not I am not crossing on that. And I said, well, you can jump it. And he's like, no way, I'm not jumping that. And I was like, you are being such a scaredy cat. And he was like, okay, I'm a scaredy cat. I don't care. I'm not going to do that. And so as I looked up at him while I was down there in front of the gorge, this is the look that he gave me, that he gave me. And it just still cracks me up to this day. And that was a little over a year ago. So I love this picture. It is such his personality. You just do not have a bad day when Bab is around because he is just hilarious and he makes me laugh every single day. So, and he was being serious here. And that's even funnier. So, but I do, okay, so I know I've talked through most of this. I do add several of the Vicky Bouton stickers, they're journal stickers, mixed media journal stickers from the kit. And I moved that black one in order to balance. I used a bunch of the sweet succulents, the bouquets and labels and bouquets, and also just the ephemera. But you're going to be so proud of me because I pulled out some old thickers and I'm going to use them. So I actually have a title on this layout, and it is Scaredy Cat because he was being a scaredy cat. So this is just a nice foam sticker, alpha sticker, and I love the title. He probably does not care. He's like, okay, I am. And he always tells me, how does he put it? I'm a sensitive, tender loving guy. Anytime we're in a situation like that, he'll say that. I'm a sensitive, tender loving guy. So my 6'4", 260-pound boyfriend is a sensitive, tender loving guy that can't cross a 2x4 in the woods in order to go exploring. So it's pretty hilarious. I also pulled from my stash. So I've got these Oasis stickers, and I'm going to add this label that says I'd go anywhere with you, and some leaves. And I think that kind of does it for that collection. I know I bring in like a puffy sticker that was random in my collection or in my stash. Oh, I was thinking about putting that there, but I found this label and it says, someday it will all make sense. And I'm not sure it makes sense to him yet why I'm so adventurous, because he seriously thinks that that's messed up. But I love to be adventurous. And so I thought this was a perfect tag. I don't know what collection it's from, but I just thought it was adorable and made perfect sense. So I added it. And I moved that leaf. So there's the puffy pineapple. I knew I added a puffy pineapple in there somewhere. So I think that is Oasis too, but I'm not sure. I had just made this entire kit with, back in September, and then I added the cheeky kit to it for this month in order to make the layout. So make sure that you check out Miranda's channel. She is going to have her version of Mixed Media Friday, and she always comes up with something unique. She challenges herself more than anybody I know. Like, I don't think she has a go-to layout. She is always trying to create something new. So super fun to watch her. Here I'm just kind of roughing up the bottom and adding the green color from the papers. And I'm going to add some splatters at the end. I like my splatters. And then there will be still pictures. Now, not not the 18th, but actually this will come out on the 19th. So on the 26th will be another Cheeky Chat if you want to join us in the Facebook group at Cheeky Studio Group. We'd love to chat with you. What else? I have a couple of the July kits left if you want those. They're almost gone. And then August is going to be super fun. I think y'all will like that. But I'm going to have a link, or I always say link. I'm going to have Miranda's channel in the description bar below. And I appreciate you watching. And tell me what kind of embossing ink you like. I would love to hear. And I will talk to you later. Ta-ta for now. Bye.